The Brexit trade deal contains a number of provisions, which lock the UK into a continued membership of the European Convention on Human Rights (ECHR). It has been claimed, Britain and the EU reached a post-Brexit trade deal in December, after almost 9 months of fraught negotiations. Announced on Christmas Eve, Prime Minister Boris Johnson described it as a jumbo Canada-style deal and declared, "All our red lines about returning sovereignty have been achieved. Everything that the British public were promised during the 2016 referendum and in the general election last year is delivered by this deal. The deal is fantastic news for families and businesses in every part of the UK. We have signed the first free trade agreement based on zero tariffs and zero quotas that has ever been achieved with the EU. The deal is without a doubt a huge triumph for the Prime Minister, who in December 2019, won a thumping majority at the general election with the promise to get Brexit done." As usual, though, the devil is in the detail, and in the full text of the trade deal, it has emerged that as it stands, the pact effectively locks the UK into continued Strasbourg Human Rights Court membership. A big issue in negotiations, and one where both the EU and UK were keen to work together, was on security, and tackling cross-border organised crime and terrorism. And the deal is an ambitious one with clear rules on the sharing of fingerprints, DNA and other forensic data. The EU said the deal builds new operational capabilities, taking account of the fact that the UK, as a non-EU member outside of the Schengen area, will not have the same facilities as before. However, Brussels has set a major condition on this agreement: the UK must observe their commitments to the European Convention on Human Rights. The ECHR is an international agreement drawn up by the Council of Europe, enforced by the Strasbourg-based European Court of Human Rights. In a recent entry for the London School of Economics (LSE) South blog, Dr. Frederick Cowell, a lecturer in law at Birkbeck University, explained, "The EU-UK trade agreement commits the parties in general terms to respecting human rights as a shared value under the section entitled Basis for Cooperation and respecting international human rights treaties to which they are parties." Chapter 3, entitled Law Enforcement, is much more specific, committing the UK and EU to respect the ECHR and to giving effect to the rights and freedoms in that convention domestically. Even though the government announced a review of the Human Rights Act in December, notionally this provision precludes a more ambitious reworking of the Act envisaged in the 2014 Conservative proposals. This is further strengthened by the provision stating that if the UK withdraws from the ECHR, cooperation on law enforcement and security ceases, regardless of whether the rest of the treaty is still in force. Other notable places referencing human rights protection in the agreement, Dr. Cowell added, include the section on services and investment, requiring parties to stop benefits to states denying human rights protection, and in the section on Europol, where data sharing to hand down or execute a death penalty or any form of cruel or inhuman treatment is prohibited.